call to order this February 20th, 2024 regular council meeting to order at 5 p.m. Off the bat, we'll be looking for an adoption of the minutes that have a mover for the February 2024 agenda for the regular council meeting. Oh, sorry, I forgot the big important one here. First of all, I'd like to respectfully acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the unceded ancestral territory of the Silks, Okanagan peoples, and the Splatcheen of the Secwepemc Nation. Also, for our guests in the audience tonight, please note that this is being broadcast live and recorded to be available on the City of Armstrong's YouTube channel. Now we can move on to looking for a motion that the February 20th, 2024 agenda for the regular council meeting be as amended by moving section 5, departmental updates, to follow section 6, presentations of reports, and adding section 91K of the community charter to section 9.1, and that is to move to an in-camera meeting after the regular scheduled meeting. Also, I note that one of our presenters is not here at this time, and we will fit the RCMP in upon their arrival. I have a mover, please. Councillor Todd, seconded Councillor Nietzsche. Thank you. Now looking for an adoption that the January 29th, 2024 minutes of the City of Armstrong regular council meeting be adopted. A mover is, Councillor Wayner, seconder Councillor Drapala. And that the February 12th, 2024 minutes of the City of Armstrong's special council meeting be adopted. I have a mover on that. Councillor Fowler, seconder. Thank you, Councillor Drapala. Please.
You should be calling a question.
Oh, sorry. All those in favor? I thought it was a done deal, but you are correct. I'm getting way ahead of myself tonight. Since we don't have the RCMP here as of yet, I will move right into our presentation of reports. Regarding the finance 2024 financial plan public engagement session. Janine, did you have a couple of words you wanted to start with? Thank you.
Thank you, Council. So in accordance with section 166 of the Community Charter, the city must undertake a process of public consultation regarding the 2024 to 2028 financial plan. The intention is for this meeting to be open to all public in attendance, and the public is encouraged to comment on any initiatives that they would like addressed in the budget. Members of the public who wish to speak are asked to keep their presentation respectful and under 5 minutes. In addition, the public was able to provide feedback through email, and we received no emails and we checked that at 3 p.m. today as well. So the recommendation is that the meeting be open to allow members of the public wishing to speak 5 minute per person maximum regarding the 2024 to 2028 financial plan.
We have a mover on that. Thank you, Councillor Wayner, seconded Councillor Valstar. And are there any members of the public that would like to address us this evening? Opportunities going once? Thank you. We have somebody. Yeah. Please, I'll just get you to provide your name, address, and tell us whether you're a resident or a business owner in our community.
My name is Ken Chapman. My wife and I live at 3850 Rosedale Avenue. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for allowing the public to speak, which is as it should be. I must commend staff and council. It's a lot to wrap your head around yearly financing, but and you agonize over certain points. I have watched the video YouTube and was here in person for part of the meeting. But I guess my comment initially was, I have difficulty with the city spending $170,000 on City Hall landscaping. I think that's a hell of a lot of money. And I'll even volunteer to purchase the first 20 pounds of drought-resistant grass seed if it'll save a few dollars. I know you agonize over certain aspects, and I'll go to bat for the road budget. Public Works Manager requested another something in the neighborhood of $43,000 for asphalt and road upgrade. And I would sooner city spend money on that. And I know Councillor Valstar would like to have any monies saved over that are squirreled away going toward that end. And I think we're almost there. The grants in aid, there was something like $24,000 allowed for, but a little over $12,000 was approved, leaving $11,000. Our banner program, $20,000, is not going to be pursued as far as I understand it. So you got $31,000. So you're not far away from the $43,000 for roads. So Public Works Manager, I hope some of that money goes towards the infrastructure, which I feel is far more necessary than the cosmetics or in front of the City Hall. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chapman. Please just state your name and your address.
Linda Capish, 3100 Highland Park Avenue. We're gonna have another tax increase. Redid my lawn, by the way, and the snowplow dumped a whole bunch of sand upon my yard again, and I put a 9-foot easement in front of my house of pebbles or rock, so that my lawn would not be destroyed. I happen to have a bit of a yard. I try not to overwater. I use grass resistant that I don't need to overwater, okay? And that was very disheartening. And you're gonna raise my taxes again. I am now a single senior. My CPP did not go up. My OAS didn't go up. My husband passed away recently and everything got cut in half, but none of the bills got cut in half. So when you're raising your taxes, really consider what you're doing to your seniors in this community, because there is no place for me to downsize to either. I have been looking and looking, and there is nothing in this community to downsize to. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much for your comments, and they do fall on us justly. We do listen, and we are concerned and do absolutely our best to keep taxes as low as possible. Anybody else like to make a comment? Asking once, twice, 3 times, seeing there's nobody else that wishes to talk, we'll move on. And thank you both for your comments. Going back to Janine, thank you.
Thank you, Council. So we're going to have a quick PowerPoint presentation about our 2024 to 2028 financial plan. The financial plan bylaw outlines the financial details for the City of Armstrong for 2024 to 2028. Schedule A is the main component of the financial plan bylaw that Council is being asked to give 3 readings to tonight. This schedule summarizes a multitude of accounts that are all closely examined, investigated, and analyzed by staff during the budget process. The bylaw and schedules are included in the agenda. Go through a quick slideshow to highlight what's included. This thing will work this time, unlike last week. No, maybe we should just do. There we go. Okay, so council has set the city strategic plan, and now staff is bringing forward a financial plan that achieves as many strategic actions as possible. Helping council achieve their strategic goals ensures that the city moves forward in a positive direction. In the proposed financial plan, each of the strategic goals is being actioned. The main strategic goal, first one is asset management. We have under planned infrastructure, we have water, sewer, and storm modeling projects, pavement management plan, CCTV of storm lines, and completion the design and cost estimate for the water reservoir and the transmission main projects. Under green infrastructure, we'll be installing an EV charger here at City Hall. For managing and planning our assets, we have the DCC zoning and subdivision servicing bylaws up to update, and we'll also be updating our asset management plan for all of that modeling that was mentioned earlier. And to ensure that our reserves and assets are adequately funded, we'll have the continuation of the infrastructure levy, and we'll also be utilizing increased interest income for one-time allocation to the Parks and Recreation Reserve. The next strategic plan, I'm sorry. Did it once and it just goes crazy, is environmental stewardship. The application and incorporation of Fire Smart grants and funds is included in the budget, along with continued work on their wastewater recovery program. Under community well-being, we have the OCP and zoning bylaws completion, the Kerry completion, rail trail connection from the terminus to Mill Street, and also the review of Parks and Recreation. Under organizational resilience and sustainability, we have reconciliation training and other opportunities, phase 2 for work safe procedures, and increasing in council training. Under community engagement, we have a website revamp, and we also have resources set aside for volunteer recognition. In addition to the strategic plan, we've also heard that the community, sorry, well, let me just stop it. No. Sorry, guys. There, oh. So bad, sorry. So we've heard a lot from the community in this past, 6 to 8 months during our OCP engagement sessions. When we were reviewing the themes that had come out, there were a few initiatives that stood out to me that shows that the city's responding and that we're listening even in the current budget. So the public said that they were hoping for ensuring essential services are managed. We have multiple water and sewer capital works projects in the 5-year plan. They want to improve our roads. We have proposed 3 infrastructure projects over 5 years, and we also have an increase, or maintenance for asphalt, which will increase over the 5 years. They want rail trail, which in 2024, we have the connection from Terminus to Mill Street. And the beautifying and revitalization of commercial areas was put forward as being very important. And in 2024, we'll see the completion of Kerry project. And then in 2024-25, the phase 1 of the downtown revitalization project will be underway. The municipality, we provide good government services for community benefit, stewardship of public assets, and we hope to foster the economic, social, and environmental well-being of our community. Listed on this slide is a quick list of some of the services that are provided by the city, and up to 96 employees, which, as I noted, some are shared through joint commissions. Fingers stuck. So the city has 3 different taxation levies. The first and main levy is our general levy. It supports the city's day-to-day operations except for water and sewer. This levy also allows for consistent contributions to the city's many reserves. The proposed budget includes a 4% increase to this levy, which equates to an additional $107,000. The total amount that this levy will generate in 2024 is $2,782,500. The next levy that we have is the RCMP levy. This sees an annual increase of $25,000 to help raise funds for the costs associated with the RCMP contract. This levy has been in place for many years to help smooth the taxation impact on residents as the city went over the 5,000 population marker, which made us more responsible for the contract cost. This levy will generate $735,000 in 2024, and the contract is $852,000. The deficit is covered by the RCMP reserve that we have. The final levy is the infrastructure levy. This was introduced in 2020 to help pay for the costs associated with the replacement of the city's aging infrastructure. The financial plan includes an increase of 4.8% to this levy to align with the city's asset management plan. This levy will generate $352,580 in 2024. The 2024 budget also reflects numerous projects that are being funded by grants. The city is very fortunate to have secured and received a number of grants to help us with the costs of upcoming projects. The 2024 budget includes just over $1.3 million in grants that have already been received and awarded, and another $224,000 that have not yet been awarded. These grants have helped the city continue to move forward, plan for the future, and meet changes in legislation without having to increase our tax request. The 5-year capital budget that's being proposed sees various equipment purchases, complete infrastructure projects, improvements to water and sewer mains for a total of $46 million. These projects are all funded by reserves, grants, and debt. This slide has the general fund, and then the next slide has the water and sewer fund projects for the next 5 years. And next, the city has multiple reserves that are each set up with a specific purpose in mind. Reserves help ensure that the city has money for significant capital expenditures in the future. The city tries to ensure consistent contributions to each reserve to meet the planned future expenditures. Through reserves, the city aims to keep taxation consistent, although expenses may be erratic. There is also the one-time contribution to the Parks and Recreation Reserve, as I mentioned before, in 2024. That's from the temporary increase in interest income. So this is the first slide, and then the second slide shows the remaining reserves that we have. Finally, the final slide shows the impact of the financial plan on the average assessed residential property and the average assessed business property. For the average assessed residential property, the proposed financial plan will have an increase of $144.49, which is roughly $12.04 per month. So council is being asked to give the financial plan bylaw 3 readings at this time.
All right, thank you. We'll have a mover that the City of Armstrong 2024-2028 financial bylaw number 1918-2024 be given first, second, and third readings tonight. We have a mover, Councillor Weiner, seconder, Councillor Valstar. Any further question? All those in favor? Oh, sorry, Councillor Drapla.
Sorry, just one question that I forgot to ask at our last meeting. When we had City Hall artwork on there, was that budgeted in anywhere or?
So through the mayor, yes, it is budgeted, it is included in just in operations as a City Hall expenditure. It is being funded by the City Hall Reserve. But it's not in specific.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then if that's operations, that's something that can be moved around and applied to different places if we need, or through the reserve, is it stuck in city
Yeah.
spending?
Yeah, since it's funded by the reserve, that's what it's intended for. So it can't be moved around. The money can't be, at least. And if we don't spend it, it stays in the reserve as well.
Is that also where the 116,560 for the landscaping is coming from, or is that a different reserve? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a
Yeah.
combination, mostly from the City Hall Reserve. We also have a couple grants that we've received for the landscaping as well. So we'll be utilizing that first before any reserve funds.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Nietzsche?
Yeah, thank you, your worship. But just to get clarification, as the topic was brought up from the public input that we received from the budget, just related to the landscaping project. I'm assuming that the figure that the budget is based on a Class C cost estimate that we received from the landscape architect for the work.
I can speak to that. Yes, so we've engaged the architect.
And I can confirm then that in normal Class C cost estimates, that there's usually contingency built into that between 15 and 30% in there as well. And then I just want to confirm too, that staff will be going out to a competitive process to have that landscaping tendered and appropriated to the lowest bid. So there'll be a competitive process for that.
Correct. Yes, it's going out to bid shortly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. And so just to speak to that issue then, I think that one thing that we did discuss during the special meeting was that council would be moving forward with, or we passed a resolution directing staff and encouraging staff to try to find savings within the existing operational budget so that we can meet some of the aspirations that were within the staff's presentation to us regarding asphalt maintenance and asphalt work. So, you know, my hope is that those cost savings certainly will be found within the budget so that we can move forward with that and implementing that plan as presented without having to have an additional tax increase.
Any further questions? I will then call the vote. All those in favor? Great, and then that will pass unanimously. We were a little slow off the start, but we got there. Very good. Thank you, Janine. Boy, not what we want to do to our staff. Next, I think we'll be calling on Mr. Smith to give us a short presentation.
Are you okay to present, Warren? You gonna give it a shot?
Thank you. I've been off on some leave, so I will try and get through this and not cough, but I think I can get through it. So unfortunately, I won't be sharing my candies with council tonight as Mo did in the past because mine are throat lozenges. But if you do need one for coughing, I do have them available if needed. Part of the role within bylaw services dog control is to provide information on an annual basis to mayor and council and to the public to provide an overview of the services that we provide, the types of files that we deal with, and the number of files that we deal with. So the information that we have before you was compiled and put together. We did have some impacts this year due to changes in staffing. So there was a time period that some of those statistics were lost, but we wanted to ensure that the numbers that we provided you this evening were as accurate as possible. We don't feel that there is significant variances based on the data that we did put before you. So within bylaws services and compliance, we saw this year our actual fairly significant reduction. We were at 129 calls for services within bylaw services. That's down significant from 232 that we had last year. There was a number of variables within that did occur. Specifically, we got rid of a couple of problematic properties that the occupants have moved out of the community, which made a significant difference. Two of them particularly, we were getting probably 20 or more calls a year on those properties. So you take away 40 calls for service, that's significant and does have a very positive impact, but also speaks the number of hours that our officers put into managing and dealing with specific files. They're not always cut and clean and easy to deal with, but that is an important figure to recognize. We do offer services ranging from 24 hours in a month or in a week up to 40 hours per week, and that's based on seasonal demand. We've looked at our past history of when we see the ebbs and flows of calls for service. For example, we're going into spring, the snow is coming off, and we know our calls for unsightly are going to go up. We know that there's going to be more people out walking their dogs, so we know we're going to see an increase in dog calls. And sure enough, I came back from being away for a week and calls are up. And I had said to our officers, they had said to me, it's very quiet. And I said, don't you worry, it's going to increase. So we've seen that increase. So based on those increases and decreases, we're very satisfied at this time with the number of hours that we're providing. It is hedging some bets, but it's also like insurance. You want to make sure that you have that service there for when it's needed. So we're taking advantage of those additional times that there may not be all those calls for service to work on public education, to do follow-ups on past historical files, and also to try and move the program and services forward. We saw 49 traffic and parking complaints in 2023, which is down slightly from 2022, which we saw 60 complaints and 73 in 2021. The Interior Provincial Exhibition, we see a substantial call or increase for calls for service during that time period. We get calls for service, but also during that time period, our officers are proactive and actively go out and look for violations, particularly where there are safety concerns, individuals parked in front of hydrants, blocking laneways, blocking roadways, or where there's clear outright infractions occurring where someone is parked directly in front of a no parking sign. For example, we saw a significant increase this year on Schubert, where there was a large amount of vehicles that were parked within no parking zones that were obstructing the flow of traffic and impeding individuals to safe passly through that area, forcing the other traffic to go into oncoming traffic. So we saw a significant increase based on that this past year. Part of the works that we do is also to work with our operational department and try and alleviate and mitigate a lot of these issues. Over the last few years, we've continued to work on some of these areas, and we continue to see success in a lot of these areas that have been problems in the past by increasing signage, by increasing public education, working with the staff within the Interior Provincial Exhibition, and we're also with other members within our community and businesses and that. So we're hoping that we'll continue to be able to work on those and see a decrease in those numbers. So the top three issues that we ran over, that's probably the wrong term to use when we're talking about traffic. But the top three safety and problematic traffic issues that occurred during the fair was that we had 13 vehicles that were obstructing the roadway that I just spoke to. We had 4 vehicles that were parked directly in front of fire hydrants. Those individuals are ticketed and towed. That is a significant step that we take. We don't want to have to do that, but because it is a safety issue and it's a liability issue, by just simply ticketing the vehicle, yes, you're penalizing that individual, but if there was an incident to occur, the fire department needs access to that hydrant. They could be obstructed or are obstructed from having easily gained access to that hydrant. So we do take the steps to tow those vehicles. And then additionally, we had 3 MTIs that were issued where individuals were parked in prohibited areas and that. So those are the top 3 that came through the fair. And I know we'll continue to work with our operations department and with the community, with the Chamber of Commerce, and our businesses to try and resolve and bring forward some opportunities to ensure that we've got safe travels within our roadways. Under dog control, we received 64 complaints this year, which is down a little bit, just from 66 from the year before. And the sort of the highest number of complaints we received was 25 complaints for dog barking. A lot of those came from one specific property, and that's generally the way it goes. That you have most individuals that have the ability to deal with it or become aware that their dog being put out at 11 o'clock at night and being brought in at 1 o'clock in the morning just isn't working for their neighbors. Where there's others that need that time to adjust and correct their dog's behavior. So we try and work with these individuals. And then there are some individuals that are just outright uncooperative in that. And unfortunately, we have to take more of an enforcement approach on those ones. And generally, if it's impacting one neighbor, you're impacting multiple neighbors. So we can get multiple complaints that will drive the numbers up. So we try and keep those within one complaint opposed to having multiple complaints. So overall, we did see an increase in complaints, but we are very sort of satisfied with the numbers within our dog control services that we provided this year, and as well as also within bylaw enforcement. We don't have any specific concerns that we feel that need to be brought forward to Mayor and Council at this time. And with the changes that have occurred with staffing, that did have a little bit of an impact on the data that we're seeing this evening. But we also feel that the changes that have made, we've got some really good, strong individuals, and they've actually increased from having one officer available that they now have 2 trained officers. It was going to be 3, but unfortunately the other gentleman's moved on to new opportunities. But they've made a commitment to try and maintaining having 2 officers available. So that way, in lieu of an individual being sick, and to provide additional coverage. And I think we'll be getting a better service in the long run.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Any questions? Councilor Weiner?
Thank you, Warren. I really appreciate the comprehensive report and how detailed using the analytics and the numbers behind it. I'm a little curious about the other side of it. I noticed there was a change to the bylaw for the aggressive dogs and for that dog control probably a few years ago. And I noticed a positive change in the community. I'm just curious if that had the effect on enforcement that I think it did, or what that may have been entailed.
Okay, through the mayor. So with the changes that we made 3 years ago, can't quote me on that, we made the changes to outline specific designations of dogs. So you may have an aggressive dog, for example, or a dangerous dog. So what the bylaw now is, it classifies these dogs and it outlines and determines our course of action. It also gives us the opportunity to apply additional actions if the officer feels there's an additional risk. So for example, we did have an occurrence where a dog was deemed aggressive, and there was a second incident that occurred. So we originally had applied everything in place, but now we've gone to the step of deeming the dog being dangerous. We've given the owner of that dog the opportunity to correct the behavior of the dog, correct their behavior as well, and to put the dog and themselves through some training, and as well as also then to be able to come back to us and to provide further support to the situation, that we feel that then we would be able to step down that dog from being a dangerous dog. But at this time, the bylaw states that the dog cannot be in a public park. It cannot be within a dog park. It must be on a leash at all times. It must be muzzled. There's a couple of other items in there. But yes, it's made a significant improvement, and that's a good example of where the past our bylaw was effective, but we're very specific now to what we can put in place and what can be applied, and holds accountability a lot more than what a violation had previously done in the past. And that's really the public education component is huge through all of it. And a lot of this is making sure that owners are aware of how they handle their dog out in public, and that they are going to be a responsible dog owner. We recognize that our officers are not experts at dog behavior, at assessing what a person's bite wound is. We've kept it very simple and basic, and this is something that the entire province is following. We were one of the first of, I think, probably even only 5 communities that made changes. And now if you go through, basically the entire province has now taken this step to follow these steps. Because it works.
Any further questions, Mr. Smith? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And now we'll hand it over to Ms. Lowe for her departmental updates.
Thank you, Your Worship. We're going to start with corporate services, just to do a quick update. Ms. Harding. Thank you.
Good evening, council. Mine tonight is, as you noticed, a little on the shorter side, but I wanted to update you on what's been happening mostly with our website and sort of bring you up to date on some of the numbers for our social media. Emily has done an amazing job on our water conservation page. She's updated it. We have fresh links in there, so we're linking right through to some of the OBWB and the Make Water Works program now as well. Our Facebook reach has leaped in this past short span that we've had for 2024. So we're up to a reach of 1,000, which is up from 700. And our YouTube broadcasts, since they're brand new, our first meeting is up to 33 views. Second is up to 30, and our special last week is up to 15. So that's where we're at with all of our social stuff. And we are going to be bringing forward at some point in the next month or two, a alternate publication bylaw. So it'll be for notifications. We don't have to rely on the newspaper since Armstrong no longer has one. So you can look for that coming down fairly shortly.
Thank you. Any questions for Philippa? No? Okay. Community services and emergency program updates. Warren, I hope you had a candy for your throat.
There we go. So I'll start over. I'll start off by saying that there will need to be a correction in the minutes, as the information that was provided to you was a administrative error. I'll take ownership on that, and we will get that corrected, because that's actually information that's been previously provided to mayor and council in the past. So with my absence this past week, that was missed. So I will provide you with a short verbal update. Our Zero Vision grant application was submitted. We received some correspondence back. They're not saying that we are not successful at receiving the funding, but what they are saying is they'd like to look at an opportunity to provide us the component of bringing in a traffic engineer into our community that would allow us to do further studies and be able to provide further recommendations. So it's actually, I think, a better opportunity than going out and spending the allotted amount that we were looking at doing digital display boards within our community. That funding is and will be available in the future. But I think with what we have done in the past year and a half, 2 years, with the work that we did with Watt Consulting with the traffic safety management plan. This is an excellent next step for us to look at some of our problematic areas, but also specifically look at our school zones to see if they can provide us recommendations for some of the incidents that have occurred, and to look at some of those issues that are coming forward and what we can do to mitigate those issues. So it really will work for us, not on a short-term opportunity as what maybe these digital displays would do. This is a long-term opportunity for us. So I'll be providing more information for mayor and council in the coming weeks as we proceed forward with that opportunity. Under emergency management, just a quick update. Our snowpack within the Hunters Range Enderby area is now at 95%. Going back in January 1st, it was 70%. So we're getting back to that normal point of where for myself and others involved in this, we're happy with the results that we're seeing. So if we can continue to have these cooling periods, we'll continue to see that snowpack build up. You know, there still is another 2 months of opportunities there for us to see snow up in the hills where we do need it. Yes, we need it down here in the lowlands for the next next 3 weeks would be ideal. So we'll continue to monitor that situation. Silver Star is at 84% and it is up from 56% as of January 1st. So we've seen significant growth, which is excellent, but we are still dealing with the results of the drought from the past 3 years. So any buildup that we can see will be a positive. And then ultimately, once we get through this period between ideally the second to third week of March is when we normally see the valley bottom snow burn off. Between then and the beginning of May is when we see that valley bottom up to 1,000-meter, 1,500-meter level. That's when we want to see that slow process take place. And then after that May 1st deadline or timeline, that's when we start to see the high level snow runoff that will take place with Frechette. And once we get to that May 1st deadline, that's when we also start to see our significant storms come through that bring rain. So we want to see the rain in May. We want to see the rain in June. No, it's not ideal for soccer, but it's ideal for our drought situation. And that's soccer starts in May. So we'll see all the parents out there in the rain, hopefully. In addition, within emergency management, our emergency program coordinators have been having discussions around the Fire Smart program and specifically a Fire Smart regional committee. There has been a commitment by all of the emergency program coordinators to work within a regional format for that committee. And that will take place despite where our application is in the process. So we will continue to go down that road and work proactively to hopefully being successful with that program in the community and being a part of that committee. We're in the process right now of the application. I'm working on the budget. I've been in contact with a couple of different contractors that are providing me numbers so I can ensure that we have a strong, firm budget that's presented to the committee that will be reviewing them. So I'm hoping to have that completed within the next 2 weeks. Kind of just working with a couple of the contractors' timelines. I have met with a number of other emergency program coordinators specific to their programs and what their needs are. So there's some good information coming forward and good opportunities coming forward from that program. Oh, and in addition, there is an upcoming workshop that the regional district is working on for agriculture emergency preparedness. Although we do not have any large significant agricultural properties within the city limits, based on our neighbors and past experience of hosting individuals within our fairgrounds, I felt it was important for us to participate in that and be a part of those conversations. We have been asked by the Ministry of Agriculture in the past to support ESS operations. So staff will be going forward with that meeting and workshop on the 13th to ensure that we are continuing to be an active player to also help better support our emergency management program.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Smith? Nope. Okay. And Public Works, Mr. Ackerman? Thank you.
Thank you, through your worship. Just a quick update from operations. We've been monitoring our flows down Fortune Creek, and you have a comparison there from water consumption from January 2023 through to January 2024. As you can see, overall consumption has decreased this time over this time last year. But what we're seeing is a little bit more of a reliance on our wells, just to do some with some of the lower flows we have coming down Fortune Creek. And that's something we continue to monitor closely. We did have an opportunity to meet with the province as part of the provincial hydrology program. The province has some funding that they're looking at reactivating some of the hydrology stations on local streams just to get a better idea of what flows are like. So we're engaged in conversations with the province to look at options of location and what they're trying to achieve and how we can look to gather some of that information to make some informed decisions with our water system. So those discussions are ongoing. We're currently going through and reviewing the top 10 water users within the community for both residential and commercial, and looking at the overall use. And then we'll be following up some targeted education with those users to see if we can reduce some of that overall consumption and work to find solutions that work for everyone. So that work is ongoing. With the drought that kind of Warren's indicated a little bit, we are anticipating that we will be looking at longer water restrictions in 2024. So we're starting to put together a roadmap of some options of what that will look like, and some things that we can implement to reduce our overall consumption. And we'll be coming forward to council at a later council date with some additional information there. But that is definitely a high priority for us. It's been an odd start to the year just with water. By example, today we were up at the water intake. We thought we had what we thought was a water leak, but turns out after further investigation, we've got kind of a new spring that's popped up and is water coming down the side of the hill. So haven't seen that in that location before. So we're just keeping our eyes open and trying to evaluate what's happening out there, evaluate and adjust accordingly, and see how we can better prepare for upcoming drought conditions. I can answer any questions if there's any.
Thank you for that presentation. Kind of read with interest this opportunity for some flexibility for water users while reducing the overall consumption. Could I read into that there might be a way to adjust the restrictions as they stand now so that people would have an opportunity to make sure their veggie gardens don't expire, for example? Am I reading into that, or is that just my wishful thinking?
Yeah, through your worship to Councillor Fowler, that is the intent of reviewing that. Right now, our water restriction classifications are not all that flexible. So we want to look at how we can find a happy medium for the community to still be able to provide a base level of water, but still reduce our overall consumption and hopefully lead to more compliance. So that's what we're kind of looking at with our team on where's that happy medium, and that we can look at education and that compliance and not have to rely on enforcement. And so that's our intent, and we'll be coming forward with more information.
I think that's a really proactive project, and just taking into consideration some of the discussion about everything going up, including taxes. Food is the top concern for a lot of people, and those people who weren't able to get their crop out of their garden made a big difference to gardeners. So I really like the proactive approach, and hopefully we find some way to be able to have a little bit of a dribble under that tomato plant and let them get their crop out of the season.
Councillor Weiner.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to make sure I heard something correctly about the provincial hydrology program. We will be collecting the data and then providing it to the province. Is that what I heard?
Through your worship to Councillor Weiner, the province is looking at setting up the stations, and they would maintain those. We would assist to a certain extent, but we would have full access to that. We are exploring the possibility of Fortune Creek, although the topography isn't conducive to having a station there, especially as we look at above our intake. But down below, we're looking at some options there, and there's a whole process to go through with tenures and that kind of stuff. But there is an active appetite to get a better understanding of the flows, and obviously that has a great benefit to the municipality as well.
Yeah, thank you. I can definitely see the benefit of understanding how water be impacted downstream from what we're doing and how we can better use our water and how we can mitigate different risks. So thank you.
Councillor Drapula.
Thank you, Your Worship. Can you tell us more about the little spring that you saw? Yeah.
Yeah, so through your worship to Councillor Drapula, it was staff came through and observed what they thought was a water leak. We went up today to investigate it and started poking around and pulling some earth away. And yeah, it's just a little spring that's popped up and has been bubbling up to the surface for a little bit on the uphill side of the road. And so we're going to continue to monitor that. But we've seen other springs not functioning. And so this is maybe just a kind of a reshift of that groundwater to a new location, but one that we'll watch closely.
Where's it located?
So it's located just off our service road up to the intake at our water reservoir.
How far up the road? Yeah. Well,
Do we want to go feet, meters?
Wow.
About partway up.
partway, like halfway? Or-
Roughly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Brad. And we have one left, planning services update. So we'll have Ms. Cordell come up. Thank you.
Here I am in the back reminding everybody else. And it's my turn. You can see we've done a little bit of a summary of the last year's development activities. 38 building permits, total construction value of 12,911,000. Primarily, we're up because of the PVSS gym. We've had a small amount of development permits too, and 7 variance permits, one of which is the new minor development permit, which gets approved by staff writing a report, submitting it to Dawn. It's been delegated to her. So I think that process went really smoothly last year. 3 subdivision applications and 2 zoning bylaw amendments. It'll be really interesting to see what happens next year with these numbers, with the changes from the province and what that means to our applications in the future. We're looking forward to the next round of OCP engagement. So we've currently got that scheduled from April 9th to 11th. It will be quite similar to last time in terms of doing an initial workshop with staff and then council, and then a public one. And then we plan to do stakeholder sessions, some pop-ups, and another open house. So we just met on Friday to kind of hammer out some of those details. So as we are able to work through them internally, we'll start sending invitations out to people's calendars and start advertising publicly. We've also been working on Carrie, which I actually don't see on there. Did I miss that? Yeah. So we've also been working on Carrie. We're in the process where they're preparing a draft for us, and we've been working with the stakeholder team or the internal team and the stakeholder team to refine. We're hoping to get a new draft in the next while, and we'll bring back at the next council meeting proposed dates for that engagement. And then, of course, the other thing that's taking up a big chunk of our time is trying to wrap our heads around how we're going to meet all the requirements of the province to update the zoning bylaw, but also then everything else that goes along with it, like our development approval bylaw. We have to do a new housing needs assessment, development cost charge bylaw, and update the subdivision servicing bylaw. So you saw all those in the budget and the work plan. They're coming forward, and we're just trying to figure it out. It's going to be a really busy 5 months because we've got the OCP happening and Carrie at the same time. So no vacations till after July. Yeah, that's all I have for you today.
Thank you. The last time we did a housing inventory, it was a regional district, it went to the regional growth strategy. So is that something that might be a good opportunity again? Because everybody's going to be in the same boat. We haven't had a regional growth strategy since the beginning of the year, so we haven't discussed it at regional district.
Through your worship to Councillor Fowler, we have had some preliminary discussions with the staff at the regional district, talking about how that would be beneficial for everyone. I imagine they will be bringing something forward to you to discuss it. Because we did them all together, they are, and it wouldn't actually matter if they're due because the province has mandated new ones, even if they aren't due. So we all have to do it. It makes sense to collaborate on that, I think.
Oh, well, that's good news because there was a huge cost saving by getting it all done at the same time too. And it was a good project at the time. So using that same framework and updating it.
Thank you, Lori.
Moving along, under correspondence, we did receive the board report from February 7th from the Okanagan Basin Water Board. It's available for everybody viewing on site, and I'm sure our members have acknowledged and read through it. And under new business, regarding Parks and Rec, is there anything Councilor Nietzsche can provide us an update with?
No, the minutes are there presented for council. If there's any questions, happy to answer them.
Seeing as there are none, we will carry on. At this point in time, we would like to move to an in-camera meeting pursuant to the Community Charter Section 90-1 under subsection E, the acquisition, disposition, or expropriation of land or improvements, if the council considers that disclosure could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality, and also subsection K, negotiation-related discussions respecting the proposed provision of a municipal service that are their preliminary stages, and that in the view of the council could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality if it were held in public. So at this point in time, I'd like to make a motion for adjournment, moved by Councillor Wayner, seconded by Councillor Valstar. All those in favor? And this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.